Art social media is filled with an overwhelming, endless parade of content. There are people who somehow have the time to produce a new piece of art every day, while you struggle to find time to sit down once a week. There's new art tutorials every hour. You've got to find time to watch them all and then also somehow find time to practice the tips and tricks they all contain. Get on that Sigma grind set and get that art bread, because nothing is better for a hobby than absolutely beating it to death and wringing all the fun out of it to please an algorithm. Unfortunately, we live in a society, and one that seems to prize productivity over almost anything else. Whether you're trying to make a career out of your art or simply create art as a hobby, it's impossible to ignore the indirect pressure placed on us by social media, where art content is churned out relentlessly. When we as artists can't live up to the standards set forth by social media, we start to feel like failures. So how can we readjust our approach? We need to be kinder to ourselves. First, we need to reduce our expectations. If you're not finding time to do art, there's a very good chance that's because the time is already taken. If you sit down and catalogue how you're spending your days and discover you spend 2 hours a night watching TV or scrolling your phone, there's an extremely good chance it's because you're already tired from your activities earlier in the day. Trying to increase your productivity by stealing away from what is essentially rest time is a recipe for burnout, or at the very least, being unco and knocking your paint water over. The great thing about art is that it will absolutely wait for you. It's not trying to rush you. You are trying to rush you. Sit down with your calendar and see where you might have the time and energy to create some art in the month ahead. It doesn't need to be a whole day activity. It doesn't even have to be an hour. Each session can be as long or as short as you want. But if you schedule that time, it might help remove some of the uncertainty about when you get to next create art, and hopefully it will relieve some of the guilt and anxiety that accompanies that. Second, reduce your art social media intake. I'm not going to tell you to put your phone down. Mine might as well be fused to my hand at this point, but you can at least moderate some of the content you consume. Art tips and tricks and tutorials and videos and reels and TikToks and whatever the hell else are individually all innocent enough, and many of them are full of good ideas, but the actual use of them starts to diminish when you let yourself be flooded with more art hacks than you will ever actually be able to try. After a while, they all kind of just blur together, and trying to remember a specific trick is basically impossible. All you get left with is a feeling of guilt for not trying any of them. Unfollow, mute, unsubscribe. If you're on TikTok, my condolences. I don't know what in the hell you should do. You don't need to remove all art social media, but try getting rid of half of the accounts you follow to begin with and see if it makes you feel any better. I would recommend removing any content that either makes you feel jealous or intimidated when you see it. This isn't a situation where you need to rise above feelings of jealousy or whatever. If something on social media makes you feel bad, you can just hit the bricks and leave. You will want to go and find some replacement content. As a placeholder, at the very least, I recommend starting with cute animal videos. No amount of cute seal content has ever made me feel guilty for not owning a seal. Third, make some art friends. Misery loves company. Every artist feels inadequate in some way, but by surrounding yourself with like-minded people, you can at least empathize with each other and give each other pep talks as needed. You'll need to put yourself out there a bit to make this one happen though. Consider going to a local art class, or if you post your art on social media, consider striking up a conversation with mutual followers or subscribers. The thing about artists is that they're almost always happy to talk about art. So don't be afraid to start the conversation. You might just make a new friend. Social media is a bottomless pit. There is an unlimited amount of content, but if we let ourselves fall in, it's a real pain to try and get back out. No one should find themselves making art out of guilt and obligation to an algorithm. Art is all about self-expression, taking a piece of yourself and offering it to the world. Sharing something you've created with others is an act of kindness, and the art you produce will be far superior if you're first kind to yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and please let me know in the comments how you avoid being overwhelmed by social media. See you next time!